Hello YouTube! My name is Cooper, and I was recently reminded that there is, in fact, a feature-length Skibidi Toilet movie in production. Now I'm really excited for this movie, mostly because it's got Michael Bay working on it, which means it has those big booms. But I've realized that if I go into theater when this movie releases without a complete understanding of the Skibidi lore, I'm gonna get laughed out of there. I might get tomatoes thrown at me, and I'm probably gonna get mauled. In order to prepare, I'm going to watch every single piece of Skibidi Toilet that I can get my hands on. This way, I will be the single greatest mind on Skibidi Toilet to ever exist, and I won't have to cower in fear during the film. Surely there can't even be that much Skibidi Toilet out there anyway. There's 25 complete seasons.
Here's the plan. I'm going to be watching every single Skibidi Toilet video ever made while taking detailed notes on each of them. I will also be rating each video based on 3 criteria. 1. Lore relevance. How much impact does this episode have on the entire series? 2. Production value. Does this episode feel like it had a lot of effort put behind it, or does it lack in comparison to the other episodes in the series? And lastly, 3. Entertainment value. Did I enjoy the episode or not? For the earlier episodes, I will be talking about the seasons as a whole, because the seasons themselves total up to around a minute or so. But for the later episodes, as they get longer and longer, I'll be talking about the episodes individually, as those ones get to upwards of 30 minutes long. Now, all of this should hopefully allow me to develop a comprehensive theory behind the entire series. And now, with that all being said, let's dive into Skibidi Toilet. The first episode of Skibidi Toilet was published by DaFuck Boom on February 7th, 2023. Before this, he was actually a well-established SFM creator, with him creating Big Smoke and Transformers animations. The first episode is really simple and doesn't really have any other action other than just the toilet singing the Skibidi song. And that song actually blew up well before Skibidi Toilet, from a Turkish guy dancing with his belly to the song, which is where I knew it from initially. Episode 1 gets a 3 for lore from me, simply because it's the introduction to the Skibidi Toilets. It gets a 2 for production value, as Boom had to have the creativity to come up with Skibidi Toilets, but other than that, he didn't really do that much else. Entertainment-wise, I didn't really find it fun to watch at all, and the episode seemed really stupid to me. So 1 out of 5. Overall, episode 1 of Skibidi Toilet gets a 6 out of 15 from me. Episode 2 actually takes us out of a bathroom and into an elevator, which has 3 toilets for some reason. There's not any development of the lore whatsoever, except that there's a girl toilet now, maybe. 1 out of 5. Compared to the first episode, the camera work was more interesting, and it made the episode more cohesive. So 2 out of 5, partly due to the more interesting camera work, but also tripling number of toilets on the screen made me slightly more entertained by this one. 2 out of 5. Episode 2 is getting a 5 out of 15 from me personally. Episode 3 is definitely the standout of the season here, where it takes up the stakes a ton. It's the first episode the cameramen appear in, and has the first on-screen death. With the Skibidi Toilets now confirmed to be aggressive and attacking, the story has moved forward a ton. 4 out of 5. Things are now outside though, and there's way more characters on screen, and just way more happening overall, and the production value as such has noticeably increased. So 3 out of 5. With the new developments in this story, there was so much more for me to be interested in, like with the mobilization of the cameramen that you can see at the beginning of the episode, so 3 out of 5. Episode 3 has brought up my hope a ton for the rest of the series, because I didn't actually hate watching it. It was kind of an alright episode in my opinion. So it's me getting a 10 out of 15 from me. Skibidi Toilet 4, it just shows how the toilets are beginning to attack everyday people, and apparently are capable of turning them into Skibidi Toilets as well. 2 out of 5. It is very similar production to the first 2 episodes of Skibidi Toilet, and it's pretty simple, though I'd say it's slightly better than them, so 2 out of 5. Because it's really simple and it's not very interesting, and the most action is just a toilet busting open a door, I didn't really enjoy it that much, so I'm giving it a 2 out of 5. Overall, I'd say episode 4 is getting a 6 out of 15 from me. In total, season 1 is going to be getting a 27 out of 60, which isn't the best, but I just hope we can go up from here, because I was kind of bored watching most of these episodes, honestly. Season 2 generally just moves the series forward by continuing the Skibidi Toilets rampage as they started in the first season. Episode 5 even has the toilets developing flight and has Star Wars music for some reason. But the war is developing through the resistance of the cameramen. This is primarily seen in episode 7 and 8, where in episode 7 you can see the first killing of a toilet by flushing, and in episode 8 you can see the cameramen mobilizing for war against the toilets. This whole season is brought down by what is definitely the worst episode in the series so far, and what might be the worst episode overall. Episode 6 is at like a rave where there's a DJ Skibidi Toilet, and he's playing a remix to like the Wednesday Trend Dance song from several years ago, except it's a Skibidi remix. If actually brain-rotting content exists, it's this video. I still gave it a 2 for production value because I thought that the party looked alright. Here's all the scores for the individual episodes, and it looks like Season 2 is getting a 27 out of 60 for its score as well. Season 3 and all of the following seasons are each 3 episodes long instead of 4, so temper your expectations a little. Don't expect too much out of the Skibidi Toilet here. Episodes 9 and 10 carry this season, with episode 9 setting the tone, as it appears that the cameramen have been forced kind of underground, as they're mounting a resistance through smaller actions like graffiti instead of an all-out battle like that before. In episode 10, it looks like there's some sort of Skibidi Toilet religion, as the cameramen interrupt like a church service or something. Though episode 10 is weaker compared to the other 2, as it's just mostly fighting. But we do see the largest toilet that we've ever seen yet, and he's pretty big. These are the scores for all the episodes, and season 3 totals up to a score of 24 out of 45. The 4th season is pretty similar to the previous season, with it just escalating the war between the cameramen and the toilets. 12 is an important episode though, as it's where we first see the big cameramen, and it's also where I started to realize that I think the G Toilet is becoming a recurring character, and I think that he'll be really important later on. Episode 13 is more the same, except it's just bigger and bigger weapons on both sides, with them just continuing to fight, but otherwise it's not very notable. 14, however, is the largest battle yet, with the largest toilet ever that we've seen so far. They just keep getting bigger and bigger being deployed. But the cameramen lose to the huge toilet, and I'm starting to get worried because the cameramen seem to be losing the technology race. Something to note about the big toilet is that he actually kills several toilets in order to win against the cameramen in that big battle. This season was pretty much mostly just filler, with the most notable thing for me was the G Toilet coming back, and I gave it a score of 26 out of 45.
Season 5 is really unfortunate for the cameramen, as the toilets really seem to be winning. And Skibidi Fifth Toilet 15, the cameramen use car bombs against the toilets, which just shows how desperate they're getting. Though 16 is very interesting, as the cameramen use a spy toilet to infiltrate a Skibidi Toilet research facility where scientist toilets are working. There's also a head scientist toilet in there who I think will become important later on, because he looks very interesting. Episode 17 is just sad. The cameramen are struggling to defeat G Toilet and can't seem to do anything against him, even with a giant space laser. Just sad. I'm hoping the next season has the cameramen push back and start winning against the toilets, because I'm just getting depressed by this. 32 out of 45. This season is the best yet. Season 6 starts with Titan Cameraman being introduced, and he's so awesome. He saves the day by killing a bunch of previously strong toilets. 19 continues the trend of the Titan Cameraman just destroying all the toilets with little resistance, and I'm extremely happy that the tide has started to turn. Constant cameraman losses were just unbearable. Episode 20 finally puts the G Toilet up against Titan Cameraman, and it's the greatest episode of the series so far. Sadly, Titan Cameraman has to flee, and he is heavily injured, but I think that the cameraman will finally figure out a way to defeat the G Toilet. This season made me really feel like maybe I'm not just throwing my time away by watching Skibidi Toilet, and I have actually started to enjoy watching it. It's kind of an experience. It's starting to touch me. Here are all the scores for the individual episodes, and season 6 ends up with 36 out of 45.
Season 7 opens with a smaller scale episode, which is welcome after all the action of the last season. 21 shows the cameraman interrogating a Skibidi Toilet before they get attacked by a bunch of other toilets that arrive, which I believe this episode shows that each toilet knows where all the other toilets are at once, or at the very least, that specific toilet had a tracker on it. For episode 22, I was just in shock, I guess. I didn't even write a score or like anything. All I wrote in the paper was, G Toilet can't be flushed, and it seems like so far he's the only toilet that can't be flushed. Episode 23 has the Titan Cameraman being upgraded to be better and stronger, and he's already, even though he's being upgraded, way stronger. I mean, he takes out a whole group of toilets just with like a power ball from his fingertip. This season, all in all, was also really good, with the final total score for it coming out to 35 out of 45. This season was extremely important. Episode 24 has the introduction of the Speaker Men, where they join the Cameramen as part of an alliance. 25 is a much lamer episode. It just shows the Speaker Men using sound to fight the toilets. 26 had the Titan Speaker Man being introduced, and he was cool, and I liked watching the fighting a little bit, but at this point, I was kind of tired after watching battles over and over and over again with little substance behind them. Anyway, here's the score for the individual episodes of the season, and I ended up giving the season as a whole 28 out of 45.
At this point, I was getting really sick of just watching battles over and over again, and it shows in the scores for season 9. 27 just shows the toilets losing to the Titans. 28 is the exact same thing. Episode 29 has a new toilet type, but it just moves very quickly and erratically, like it's not controlling itself. It's a little interesting, but it's not very much. Otherwise, this season kind of blows, and I got really bored watching it. It was just really mid-battles, and I don't have much to say about it, honestly. Season 9 totals up to 17 out of 45, the worst so far. I really hope the series starts to go back up in quality. I thought I was enjoying it, but now it's not really. Every time
time I doubt Skibidi Toilet, it always comes back better than before. The head scientist toilet returns in episode 30, and he has a Skibidi that can mind control the enemies if it attaches to them. This is honestly the biggest development since the introduction of Titan Cameraman and changes everything. 31 shows the effects that the mind control has had with it causing chaos among the Alliance, and the technology is making them lose again. Episode 32 is actually the best episode up to this point by far. A normal battle episode turns into Titan Speakerman getting mind controlled by the mind control toilets, and he starts attacking the Alliance, and the war has completely flipped on its head. I'm really worried about the future of the Alliance, as it seems like the toilets are always going to be one step ahead. But the season was much better than the previous one, and they recovered so much. These are the individual scores for each episode, and the season as a whole is going to be getting a 36 out of 45 from me, which is a crazy comeback from the last season. After watching 10 seasons, here's my complete kind of understanding that I have of the Skibidi lore right now. So at the beginning, there's Skibidi toilets, and they just attack the normal people, like you or me. They run around and they attack people, and they even turn people into Skibidi toilets to join them. But over time, eventually the cameramen come along and start mounting an offensive against the Skibidi toilets, and these two sides keep clashing and clashing. They scale up arms to fight each other. You have the G toilet, which is the leader of the Skibidi toilets, and for the cameramen, the Titan cameraman seems to be the leader of them, and they clash. It doesn't seem like either side's able to win. Some get victory, some get others. The cameramen are eventually helped out by the speakermen who come along and join them, and they create an alliance, and they begin to push back against the Skibidi toilets who are winning initially. But towards the end of the episodes I watched, the Skibidi toilets have a head scientist who's created all kinds of new devices. One of them is a mind control device, which the Skibidi toilets are using to control the members of the Alliance, which has been disastrous for them. With at the end of the last 10 seasons I've watched, the Titan Speakerman, the most powerful Titan that the Alliance has, gets mind controlled by the Skibidi toilets. And this is awful. I don't know what's going to happen next in the series. I am terrified because I don't know what they're going to do with that power. But even with the Titans, they can't really touch G-Toilet. G-Toilet is immune to the sky ray that they have that they shoot down from space, and most of the attacks from the Titans. It's kind of crazy. So with all that lore out of the way, from the first 10 seasons, gotta go back to watching more Skibidi Toilet. Episode 33 made me really sad. My heart was broken with Titan Speakerman getting mind controlled. This episode just shows how hopeless the situation really is. G-Toilet comes back and even blows up YouTube. But everything's not doom and gloom, as episode 34 sees the Alliance cure the first mind control through their experiments. The Alliance's gun to remove mind control almost gets stolen by the toilets, yet is able to escape without being taken in episode 35. Titan Speakerman gets shot with the anti-mind control gun, but it has no effect. The season overall is showing the impacts of season 10. It was alright in general though. It's getting a 28 out of 45. This season sucked. It's just battle scenes where the Alliance tries to use the anti-mind control gun. They push the toilets back a little bit, but as we saw last season, the gun doesn't work against Titan Speakerman anyway. There's these cool tanks that the Alliance uses, but other than that, there's not that much interesting stuff that happens. These are the scores for the episodes this season, and season 12 will be getting a 16 out of 45. Season 13 is where Skibidi Toilet gets serious. Every episode is now in widescreen, and the episodes start to get longer and more in depth. The TV men get introduced in episode 39, where we see toilets with flush recovers that stop them from getting killed easily. The TV man in the episode hypnotizes the toilets with a screen. The TV men are the most powerful group yet and are extremely mysterious. Though, as we see in episode 40, cameramen need to wear special lenses to resist the effects of these new TV men. In general, it seems like the Alliance might have a chance again with these new members of the Alliance. Titan TV Man enters the fight in episode 41 with him being voiced, even though his speech is reversed. Season 13 has restored my faith in the future of the Alliance completely, and with the increase in quality, I'm excited for the future of Skibidi Toilet. Season 13 is getting a 35 out of 45 from me. Episode 42 shows us that TVs can get rid of the mind control toilets and mind control through the hypnosis that they emit. In episode 43, the TV men are already being challenged, and I didn't really enjoy it that much because they just got introduced to the show, so I kind of wanted the TV men to do more crazy stuff first, but it's whatever. The first two episodes sort of bring down the season, but episode 44 carries it enough that I think it's alright. The episode is a huge battle with Titan TV Man, with the end of the episode alluding to a battle between him and Titan Speaker Man. Here's the scores for each episode this season, and it all comes out to 23 out of 45. Season 15 starts with a long-awaited battle between Titan TV Man and Titan Speaker Man. It is a really good fight, and I enjoyed it, but neither Titan really won. They both got heavily injured and then retreated from the battle anyway. Episode 47 almost made me cry. Titan TV Man gets heavily injured from the G Toilet, Titan Speaker Man, and several other toilets. He loses his upgrades and he's forced to retreat from the battle.
This season was pretty good and ended up with an episode that gets a perfect score from me. Season 15 totals up to 35 out of 45. Episode 48 is another battle episode that's pretty boring. Episode 49, however, is great, and it sees the return of Titan Cameraman better and stronger than before. He's one of my favorite characters, and I'm glad to see him back. The next episode I gave a perfect score because it's definitely one of the best episodes yet. Titan Cameraman actually has an awesome hammer and leads an attack against the Skibidi Toilets. And with his introduction, the Skibidi Toilets are on the losing side in the conflict again, and I'm hopeful that they'll be able to unmind control the Titan Speaker Man. I just really want to see all three of the Titans working together. I think it'd be really cool. Here are the scores for season 16, and the season totals up to 32 out of 45. Episode 51 is really interesting as it's actually from the Titan Cameraman's POV, and I really enjoyed this shift in perspective. He's just going through and destroying everything in his path and just really sweeping the toilets out of the way. In 52, I noticed there is a new recurring character, Plunger Man. He's pretty strong, and the Alliance in general is also pretty powerful right now. The war just continues in episode 53, though the Scientist Toilet has made new creations. These are all the scores for the season, and season 17 is going to total up to 31 out of 45. 54 has both sides developing new tech, but it's also just another battle episode. 55 is the same thing. Neither of these interest me much at all. I believe in the toilet though. Episode 56 is pretty good. So Titan Speaker Man comes back and he's on the hunt for the Alliance. He looks like he's upgraded compared to last time, and I can't wait for the next big battle. This is a pretty mid-season though, with the coolest thing being the return of Titan Speaker Man again, but nothing crazy. Season 18 totals up to 24 out of 45. Episode 57 is the largest battle yet. Plunger Man dies sadly and the Titans clash with one another, and the Titan Cameraman carries the battle against G Toilet, Titan Speaker Man, and several other large toilets. The battle ends with G Toilet getting driven away while Titan Speaker Man gets his mind control cured by a TV man. This is huge. I really did love this episode. Made me feel really bad for the Titan Speaker Man though. Episode 58 has Titan Speaker Man back helping the Alliance fight against the toilets, and things are going very, very well. 59 just shows how the Alliance has basically won at this point, with the toilets at their lowest point. I have no idea how they could possibly come back from this. Titan TV Man hasn't really been seen in a while though, honestly. But there's an epic dap up in the end of the season. The season was the best in a long time, and I really enjoyed my time with it. Season 19 will be getting a 39 out of 45 from me. Episode 60 is interesting as it seems like the leadership in the toilets is changing, and that the G Toilet is not the primary leader anymore. The Scientist Toilet is gaining power, and it doesn't seem like all the toilets are working together for some reason. All in all, one of the best episodes for lore. It really had me questioning what was going on in the story, and I'm very curious on what happens next. 61 though has a moist critical toilet, so he knows better. Episode 62 has Scientist and G Toilet just going absolutely crazy, fighting a ton of the Alliance, but also just another battle episode. Here's the scores for the individual episode, and season 20 comes up to a 30 out of 45. Continuing on with season 21. Episode 63 is simple with Plunger Man coming back, but stronger than before. Episode 64 is a large battle that I enjoyed a little, but there's a hint at the G Toilet at the end of the battle. 65 is a landmark episode this season as Titan Cameraman and Speaker Man face off against the Scientist Skibidi Toilet and the entire Skibidi army. Except they leave the G Toilet behind, and we eventually find out that the G Toilet was actually a decoy, with the Titans getting blown up at the end of the episode. These are the scores for the individual episode, and season 21 totals up to a 31 out of 45. 66 has all the small unique members of the Alliance returning like Plunger Man, and they are attacking a base before escaping to another TV base. This episode was interesting as it was really first person and in the action compared to the previous episodes. Episode 67 has the Titans joining an attack on a Skibidi base, albeit with them heavily injured. G Toilet and the Scientist Toilet appear and are winning before the Titan TV Man shows up and ends up killing the Scientist Toilet, though a smaller version of the Scientist Toilet escapes and runs off into the facility. The episode ends with members of the Alliance entering the base to chase after the Scientist Skibidi Toilet. This episode is really good. 68 starts with the Titans battling several G Toilet clones outside, but continues following the cameramen inside the facility, with them seeing how toilets are made underground, and there's actually a Jesse Pinkman and Walter White Skibidi Toilet for some reason. It ends up with the group continuing deeper into the Skibidi Toilet facility to hopefully find the Scientist Toilet once and for all. This season was much more lore heavy than the previous seasons, and I really enjoyed the story focus here, giving season 22 a 38 out of 45. The Alliance descends deeper into the facility in episode 69, with seeing tons of toilets and the G Toilet giving orders. Episode 70 continues the trend. There's even a Michael Jackson toilet for some reason they see down there. It's kind of weird. While the battle continues outside. Titan TV Man powers up the other Titans with his energy outside, and they fight a ton of toilets. I also thought for a bit that the facility was just Black Mesa, because a ton of the environments here are just from the Half-Life remake. We see the administrator of the facility giving orders to the Scientist Toilet and find out that the facility is actually named the Alpha Hills facility. The episode ends with the Alliance killing the original Scientist Toilet before the administrator warns of bigger threats.
Bigger threat is coming. That's why certain things have to remain secret.
The administrator is sort of like the G-Man from Half-Life, and at this point I started to draw a lot of parallels between Skibidi Toilet and Half-Life. Episode 71 has some fighting outside of the Skibidi Toilet facility, and the G-Toilet ends up escaping from the attack on Alpha Hills. These are the episode's individual rankings, and this season comes out to 30 out of 45. From this point, I'm going to cover the episodes individually as they get longer and longer. The next episode is really funny because it has a lot of random meme sound effects for some reason. I gave it a 5 for the lore because the G-Toilet returned, and I noticed that toilets are also fighting other toilets for some reason now. These new toilets are actually Astro Toilet, and they are a distinct group from the Skibidi Toilets. The Ranger Toilet and Energy Toilet belong to this new group. I thought the episode looked really good, and I liked the designs for the Astro Toilets. As a result, I gave episode 72 a 4 for production value. I also gave it a 5 for entertainment value, as I really enjoyed it. Whether it was the funny sound effects or the lore significance of the G-Toilet versus the Astro Toilets, I was a big fan of this episode in general. The Ranger Toilet also just looks really good because it reminds me of the Fallout New Vegas NCR Rangers. Genuinely the best episode yet. Episode 73 has the Skibidi Toilets working with the Alliance, and I am amazed at the faith these people have in the second chances. Speaking of people, this episode is the first actual people since like episode 4 or something. For lore, I'm giving 73 a 5, a score it has well earned. We've learned that the Skibidi Toilets come from experiments inside the Alpha Hills facility. Toilets are actually talking to the Alliance with speech, which I don't think I've ever heard them really say anything other than Skibidi dop 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 yes yes.
White bro is aiming at me. Is he stupid? We saved your life. Relax. We ain't here to hurt nobody.
That in itself grants this episode a 5 rating for production value because it's got voice acting. And I actually also got my first mid-roll ad on this video, which it sounds stupid, but it's actually an achievement. Anyway, for entertainment value, I gave it a 5 because I liked it. Didn't give any other reasoning. If you disagree with my rating, make sure to write a long and strongly worded comment down below, and make sure to comment on 5 of your peers' responses as well. Episode 74 is the official beginning of the Astro Toilet invasion. It's where we learn that toilets are made by forcing people to listen to Skibidi dop 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 yes yes all over and over again. Everyone battles against the Astro Toilets and the Titans are left crippled. Sadly, Titan Cameraman sacrifices himself to save everyone else and let Titan Speaker Man and TV Man escape to safety. Just for that, this episode gets a 5 for lore. For production value, I gave it a 4 as I just don't feel it is as good as the previous one in that department. I also gave it a 5 for entertainment value as the death of Titan Cameraman really pulled on my heartstrings. Fuck! Anyway, episode 75 has the Skibidi Toilets losing to the Astro Toilets. The Alliance and Skibidi Toilets are officially in an alliance together, so I'm giving it a 4 for lore. Both entertainment value and production value are getting a 3. This is a battle episode. Episode 75 is also just really short compared to the episodes around it. I really liked watching this episode because it's the most entertaining in a long time, though it doesn't have much lore impact. There's a girl toilet, which I think is the only one ever. I'm giving it a 3 for lore. This episode was really on the ground, which I liked, and I gave it a 4 for production value. Particularly, there's a scene where the POV is running to get to a bridge, and it's one of the best parts of Skibidi Toilet for me. Other than that, the fighting is really getting futuristic from the Astro Toilet tech, so 76 is getting a 5 in entertainment value from me. Episode 77 is the longest episode in the series, and probably the best episode as well. It has a ton of recurring characters, voice acting, and real-world locations. Titan TV Man is back after being absent after the Titan Cameraman died. The world has basically ended after the Astro Toilets invaded, and they're basically just patrolling Earth, trying to get rid of the last remnants of the Alliance. Titan TV Man has a huge speech before the big fight, and his head comes off. Yet Titan TV Man is still able to survive for some reason. Everyone tries to save him from losing to the Astro Toilets, and a huge ship appears at the end of the fight. Despite all of this, the Titan TV Man gets mind controlled, and he is taken away to become the Watchman of Doom.
Serve your new master. Watchman of Doom.
There's no Titans left. I'm giving this episode a 5 in every category. Most of the world's secret locations have been compromised after the loss of Titan TV Man as he can teleport through the darkness. The voice lines are pretty funny in this.
What the Sigma?
And apparently Astro Toilets can eat people. The Speaker Men return actually though, and are extremely powerful. Titan Speaker Man is way different and he now has a cool scythe. This episode has a lot of setup for the next one, but I still really enjoyed it. It's getting a 5 for both production value and lore due to the voice acting and reintroduction of the Speaker Men, which I am extremely hyped for what they do in the next few episodes. I was gonna give it a 5 for entertainment value, as once again I really enjoyed this episode, but there was an ad at the end of the video and I didn't really like it.
What pressure to kill you. Gives you aura.
The Watchman of Doom appears for the first time in Attack on a Cameraman base. He uses the TV hypnosis on the POV cameraman and can't do anything. The girl Astro Toilet is going crazy and several of the unique toilets die. The Michael Jackson toilet dies. Everyone on the base tries to escape to somewhere else through the darkness, and they almost die as the Watchman of Doom follows them into the darkness. Except the darkness houses Jeffrey. Jeffrey attacks the Astros in the darkness, and everyone ends up escaping to the speaker base. This episode gets a 4 for lore from me, and I really enjoyed watching it, so it gets a 5 for entertainment value. And production value is actually getting a 3, even though this episode was pretty good. I wish I could give it higher, but the video seemed to be lagging when I was watching it, and it wasn't a problem on my end.
These last few episodes and seasons are genuinely the most lore-packed yet. We spend the majority of the beginning parts in the first couple seasons with the Alliance trying to infiltrate this facility where the head scientist Skibidi Toilet is, and they try to kill him, and they end up killing him in his mech outside, but he escapes inside the facility where they go down and they discover so much about the toilets, that they're made in a facility, and that there's a Michael Jackson toilet, a Walter White and Jesse Pinkman toilet, and they learn that the facility was ran by an administrator originally who created the Skibidi Toilets, and they learn that he still gives orders to the G Toilet. He kind of runs things behind the scenes, almost like the G-Man. As we get towards the middle of the season though, with the Alliance annihilating the toilets, like they kind of start to destroy them, the Astro Toilets begin invading, and we see toilets fighting toilets for the first time, but they're a distinct faction from the Skibidi Toilets, which is very interesting to me. I thought that they were the exact same before watching the series. It's more deep than you think it is. But the Astro Toilets come along and they start fighting everyone. They fight the Alliance and they fight the Skibidi Toilets, and this forces the Skibidi Toilets to form an alliance with the Alliance against the Astro Toilets. Now, this is at the lowest point. The world's basically ended, and this forces everyone underground and hidden in different facilities. And occasionally there's battles and skirmishes, like whenever the Titan TV man fights along with a bunch of other people. The Titan TV man fights against the Astro Toilets. And unfortunately, the Titan TV man gets a device attached to him that makes him controlled by the Astro Toilets, and this turns him into the Watchman of Doom. And this is the single worst thing that's ever happened in the Alliance to date, as a Watchman of Doom is, I mean, the Titan TV man was the most powerful Titan of them all, and now he's controlled by the Astro Toilets as a Watchman of Doom. That's not good. So now, continuing along, following that, the Speaker Men come back, and we see that Titan Speaker Man is better and more improved than before, and he actually even has a scythe that he's been using. In the last episode that I watched, we see the Watchman of Doom attack, and he's extremely powerful, and barely anyone can do anything against him, because he can actually travel through the darkness with his teleportation abilities. There's nothing they can really do, except for Jeffrey in the darkness, but we don't exactly know who Jeffrey is. He's just, I think, a TV man that got left in there and that attacks anything that's left inside. But anyway, he attacks a bunch of the Astro Toilets. Oh, and the facility that the head scientist toilet is running is called the Alpha Hills Lab. I'm excited to see what happens next in Skibidi Toilet, and I cannot wait for more.
I started this series hating Skibidi Toilet as I thought it was bastardizing Gmod and Half-Life. I made a fist every single time I saw little kids call G-Man or any NPCs from Half-Life 2 Skibidi Toilet. I thought it was a poorly made, brain-rotting cash grab that only saw success because kids could easily memorize the song. But now I realize that Skibidi Toilet is so much more than that. It's a deep story about the human instinct to push on no matter how much difficulty you faced. It's an action epic that rivals the movies on the big screen. It's almost a love letter to the stupid Source Engine videos I grew up on. It really has changed my life. Made me finally understand the CG5 THX song. But I've learned so much from watching Skibidi Toilet and making this video that it has allowed me to grow into a much better person and learn so much along the way. The journey watching Skibidi Toilet was much better than I thought it was going to be, honestly. I'm really excited for the next episode, and I cannot wait to watch it. So with that, let's go look at episode... Let's go take a look at episode 80. Oh, there is no episode 80. Fuck!